welcome to this video. In our previous video, we did touch on what an array was, and I did give us a little exercise to try and tackle, and we'll try to solve that problem in this video. So the problem is that for this our calculator, all we can do is just operate with two characters, for example, or two numbers, for example, rather. So we have maybe 5 plus 6. That's all we can do. We can't do operations that have more than 2 items. So what I asked for was that we do this such that it can take in 5 items and then perform the operation on those 5 items. So if it is plus, it's going to be the first plus the second plus the third, the fourth, the fifth. If it is a division, it's going to be first divided by second, then we divide by third, subsequently like that until we get the answer. So that is what we are trying to achieve here. And so let's just look at our solution, how we'll go about that. So the first thing I will do is probably, since I said I want us to use an array, so if I didn't want to use an array, what I would have done in this situation was to do something probably like this, and we'll have done something like this and call this maybe fifth number, we'll call this maybe fourth, and then we'll call this the third. We change this to third number, change this to fourth number, something like that. And this is how we might have done it. But you see, this is a lot of code we are writing for something that we just want to collect numbers, depending on 5 of them. So what we could do instead of doing this is, I just need one of them. So I know I need to do this 5 times, so I could just make a loop I less than, so I know, okay, so since I know it's going to be 5 times, I could just put, clear this. So I know that I need my array, so I could just create my array and I could call int, and I know it's going to be 5 items that will be within it. So what I just want to do, so I want to just say put in the number. So here I will just be saying put in the number, and I'll be taking in the number. So for example, array at index I will be whatever the input is going to be. So console dot readline, the read line, and I have that. But this is a string, so I need to make this a string. So I am saying that whatever is from my console, I want to store it. So when I put in the first item, the second item, the third, the fourth, going, and then when I've put in all of it, then that is when I want to come and continue my operation. So all of this will not be necessary anymore. So at this point I'm saying I want to get all my data into this array. So when I've gotten it, and it's an array of strings, so 5 items will be there. So what we will now want to do is, so we now ask what operation do you want to perform on this number. So if it's a plus, so what we could now do is, what operation do you want to perform? So rather than do this here, what we could do is we could put in a loop also. So for example, we could have what we could do, okay, let's just do it this way. So we could come into each of them and we could say, so since I'm going to still loop through it, so I want to go through each of them, and if it is for example, if we have the first item, which is going to be 4 plus 3 plus 2, so I want to start for summation, so I want to convert it. So let's say I've taken away out, so I will just say value, and we could just have convert dot to int32, and it's going to be what is in our index I, because we are going from index 0. So when my index 0, I want to get the item there which I've gotten from my console and then convert it to an integer. That's what I want basically. Then what I want to do, since it's sum, I want to add it to value basically. So that's what we want to do for sum, and then at the end of the day, when it sums it, it will return the answer, and we are done with that. So for subtraction, what we want to do, so let's come to subtraction. Basically the same thing, but the problem with subtraction is that the first item is what you subtract every other thing from. So it means that I cannot start subtracting, I can't start doing this so from the beginning. So I will always start from the first, and what I will just do is the answer will be what is in index 0. So basically this, so but it's going to be a subtraction, so negative equals 2. So here we're just saying that my answer, so whatever the first item is, so let's say we put in 50 as the first item, the second item is 5, third item was 3, maybe 2 and 1. So it's going to be 50 minus the second item, minus the third item, minus the fourth item, minus the fifth item. So it means that the first item, we need to keep it and then start subtracting from that first item the subsequent one. So it's, you find out that I did not start from index 0, I started from index 1. That is why I said when I equals to 1, because I want to start from 1 and go to 2, 3 and 4. That's what I'm trying to achieve. So that is why it's not starting from 0. And that will be for that. So the division will also be similar to the subtraction, because the first item, we need to get the first item, and from that first item we start to divide. And but what will make this a little bit different now is, you remember that when we do division, it will by default divide them as an integer. So it means we need to find a way to tell the system that I want this to be done, this division to be done as probably a double or something like that. So it means I will have to, so since I know this will come in as an integer, so I could just cast this to, let's say, double, so that it will make the division by double. But what this will mean is that because my answer, if you come up here, answer by, we just said put in 0, by default it sees 0 as an integer. So probably we'll just make this a double so that it will know that this is a double, and you see that goes away. So it knows that this is a double, and so the division will work as a double. So basically we have done that of division. And then for that of multiplication, I think it's looking more like that of the addition, because I just multiply all of them across. It doesn't really matter. So but for here I must set my answer to 1, because answer by default we made it 0. But if we make, and if answer being 0 is multiplied by anything, it will always end up as 0. So we put the default as 1, and then we do our multiplication. So I think that's what we have here. So now we can take in up to 5 items, and we can work with this easily. So instead of, imagine if we had 5 items, what I would have done here was this code here, I will have read it to do this 5 times as I showed before doing all. So let's see how this works. Let's be sure it's working fine. So here it says put in the numbers. So let's do a addition. So let me say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I want to perform addition. So it says 15, because 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 is 15. So I want to continue, yes. So now let's go for a subtraction. So I start with 50. So I want to remove 20, I want to remove 10, I want to remove 10, and I want to remove 5. So 50 minus 20 is 30, minus 10 is 20, minus 10 is 10, minus 5, I'm left with 5. So if I go for subtraction, the answer should be 5, correct? So let me do for maybe division for the last one. So let's say we have 120. I want to divide it by, let's say 2. So that will be 60. I want to divide it by 2 again. That will be 30. If you divide by 2, that's 15. So 15. If I now divide by 3, that will be 5. So I want to do a division. So the answer should be 15. Oh, sorry, 5. Sorry, because 15 divided by 3 will be 5. And you see our application is working the way we expect it to work. So I hope this was clear, and I hope we saw how we could use array to solve our problems, especially when they have to do with related data, rather than creating individual data for each of what we are trying to perform, for each of the operation we're trying to perform. I do hope this was very clear, and I hope we had a better understanding of this from of what the array is from this particular exercise. I do strongly encourage us to go through this if we missed something, to see what we missed and really understand the nitty-gritty of how the array works. And as you see, we are only building up on what we have subsequently done. You see, we applied the for loop here, and in subsequent videos we'll also be putting application of previous things we have also done. If you still have any issues or you had trouble trying to get through a part, I'll just drop a comment and I'll try my possible best to give clarification to that. Thank you, and I'll see you again in the next video.